Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the stream. We're just waiting on Safwan to join in, but today's stream should be pretty fun. We are going to be talking about the new Ubiquiti releases this week and probably the last couple weeks as well. There's a lot of new products they released, a lot of new firmware updates they pushed out, some exciting things going on with UniFi organizations. So a lot of stuff we're going to cover, and like I said, we'll get started here in just a minute. Thank you everyone again for joining. Welcome SysTech911 Tim. Nice to see you in the chat. So we will get started here as soon as Safwan joins the stream. All right, let's get started here. Hello, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So yeah,
Talking about UniFi releases today.
yep. Yeah, I mean, there is lots of things they have released this week.
A lot of
So we
things.
have to talk about that.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
I mean, you should start with the new product release they have announced the last week.
New product releases?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for those of you who are joining, this week they came out with a couple things actually. Actually, I wonder if I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it's not like loading in though. Let me try again. It's like showing like a warning sign or like a triangle, yeah. But it's letting me on Zoom. It must be my computer. So I am not sure. Let me see. Let me check my settings.
Okay.
Okay, let me try again. There we go. Okay. Okay, now everybody should be able to see my screen. There we go. Cool.
Yes, I.
So this week they came out with some Pro XG PoE switches as well as some WAN switches. So let's start with the Pro XG switches.
Yeah. So the Pro XG switch was announced, yes, previously they have put those switches under the store list, but for the video part they have bought the XG8 PoE and the 10 PoE.
Yeah, so
Yes.
so the XG24 and the XG48 were already released, I believe. And then, like you said, the XG10 and the XG8 are both new switches that have just come out. So the XG10 PoE is a 400 watt PoE switch. It's $700, and it has, I believe, 10 ports of Ethernet on them.
For this XG8
So it
PoE.
also has PoE+++ on all of
Yes,
those 10
correct.
ports, as well as two 10 gig SFP plus ports for uplinks or whatever fiber. So it's a pretty nice switch. It's rack mountable, which is really big. A lot of their smaller switches that only have like under 16 ports, a lot of them are not rack mountable. So it's really nice to see something that is rack mountable
Hmm.
in that kind of a form factor. And they also came out with the XG8 PoE, which is of course not rack mountable. It's only 155 watts of PoE, but it still has PoE+++. All of the ports on it are 10 gig, as well as the two 10 gig SFP plus ports.
Yes.
So this is kind of like the Enterprise 8 PoE, I believe,
I
just
mean, yeah,
with
the
10 gig.
extended version of that.
Yeah,
Instead of 2.5 gig now, you can go up to 10 gig.
yep. It does have the external power adapter, as you can see here. I believe it's all sold together. Yeah, with included AC power adapter. So
Yeah.
that's $500 there for the XG8 PoE. And this switch, I believe, yes, it supports all of the Pro AV stuff. It does QoS, DSCP
Mhm.
tagging, and all of the
Mhm.
other advanced features that a lot of the higher end switches do support, which is nice to see on a switch of that form factor. They also, I don't know if this was just announced this week or if they just, if it's been on the website, but they have the Pro XG aggregation switch coming out in August with 32 25 gig SFP28 ports. So
Yes.
that's kind of a huge switch. It's $2,500, really expensive, but if you need 25 gig ports and a lot of them, this switch looks like a great candidate.
Yeah, looks like.
Definitely pretty
And they
big.
have the high capacity aggregation also. I mean, does it compare to that
Yeah,
or they
the high
have
capacity is just 10 gig
10
on
gig,
on
yeah,
most of the
but
ports, but
they have only four ports on that, which is
yes,
SFP 28 ports.
yeah, there's four SCP-28s on the high capacity aggregation switch, so not as much bandwidth you can do on the high capacity versus the Pro XG aggregation.
Yes.
Somebody in the chat
This is,
said,
I mean, they have pretty much, they have, I mean, separated this lineup with the XG lineup. I mean, this is a new lineup with the access point as well as with the
yeah,
switches.
yeah, they did recently come out with the XG access points. So they've got the U7 Pro XGS, the U7 Pro XG, and these are higher end access points that have like 10 gig Ethernet on them. They have Wi-Fi 7, and they're pretty much for higher bandwidth applications,
Yes.
is what I would say at least. Somebody in the chat said PoE is so awesome it saves a lot of extra power when power adapters are not needed, and there's never enough ports. It seems like always adding more equipment, and I agree. And that's why I've recently been trying to stray away from buying like the 8 port switches because eventually I'm going to always want more ports. So I've been trying to get the switches that have more ports on them. That's for me at least, but
Yeah, I'm also looking to, I mean, I have on my rack, I have a 24 PoE, I mean, which is quite old, and I have a uh, Enterprise 8 PoE, I think I have
oh yeah,
Enterprise, which is 2.5 gig. So
yep,
I'm thinking I should sold those two switches and get one more switches with the layer 3 and the 2.5 gig ports on that. So it will be good for my, I mean, the rack shelf
yeah,
because the 8 PoE is just occupying one shelf for that. I mean, there is no such use. It is occupying just only whole port, and all 8 port are already used, and that switch is quite getting hot as compared to the
mm-hmm.
other switches. Currently running at around 76 degrees Celsius.
Oh wow, that is pretty hot.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
even the fan level is also stays as 35 degree 35%. Even if I try to manually increase the fan level up to 100%, stay back to the auto, and it just stay at 35%. I'm not sure why the fan level is not increasing.
interesting. Yeah, this is the one that I have at my desk now. It's the Pro Max 16 PoE. Actually, it's not the PoE variant, but it's just got the 12 gigabit E ports, but then it's got the four 2.5 gig ports. And that's been great for me because that's getting me into the 2.5 gig um, realm, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. But then I also do get the gigabit E ports for other things that don't need 2.5 gig.
Yeah, either this one or Pro HD 24. In my case, I would go with either this one, the HD one, Pro HD 24 PoE.
Oh, the PoE.
The HD one, Pro HD.
Where is that on the website?
Okay, it's yeah, the Pro HD.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, this is a non-PoE. I'm talking about the PoE
Oh,
one.
that's
Pro
right.
HD 24.
There we go.
Yes.
PoE. Yeah, that's a
They
nice
had
switch.
around 600 watt as compared to the other one.
600 watt, yeah,
Total speed. Yeah.
versus 180 watts on the Pro Max 16 PoE.
Hmm.
Yeah, Rob said when he designed his network for his property, he always went with bigger switches by about 30% just to have future capacity.
Yes, that's the
Yeah,
only I was thinking about right now because my old 24 PO is just giving 95 watt and all ports are 1 gig and even the SFP, it's not SFP only, not SFP plus.
oh, so it's
So
also
that's
one
also
gig.
1 gig.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm limited to that only. So I was thinking I should I should sell those two AP switches and get one beefy switch, which will give me 10 gig also, or even 2.5 gig on all the ports. And
yeah,
for the future proofing, it will give me more PO watts.
yeah, that's true. So going back to these Pro XG switches, I think that was all we had to cover with these. They do have the 24 and the 48 models that have already been out. They have 720
Yes.
and 1000 or 1080 watts, and they also have PoE plus 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 on them. But
Yeah.
those have been out for a little bit now.
Yes, and the other switch is very controversial, the WAN switches. Everyone was asking why they have released these switches when they have the aggregation switches currently, because it just adding up your rack space. But I think these switches are nice for the shadow mode if you want to achieve the
Yeah,
shadow mode VRRP. But if you see inside this switch, if you will see, it take a lot of space for the PSU, those redundant power system. They have given two PSU, and just those things are occupying half of the spaces. And the
wow.
form factor of these switches is similar to the USW aggregation. This is a compact one, not a big deep one.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does look pretty short. I think what they could have done with this is they probably could have had two sets of these WAN ports because I feel like if somebody's going to have redundant internet or redundant UDMs, they're probably going to have redundant internet as well across two ISPs. So I could have seen them doing like another set of the like the input from ISP, so two ISPs you could have, and then
Yeah,
two connections to your gateway in that same form factor because they already have the redundant power.
exactly.
Um,
And also, instead of system LED, they have bought the 1.3-inch LCM screen. That will be very helpful for that. But
that's true.
uh, taking a look into the switch, it does nothing. It's just providing a redundancy on the, I mean, for the shadow mode. It just does nothing. This is only helpful when you don't want to have any third party like a non-UniFi switches for the shadow mode, that the redundancy. You can just add this. Like aesthetic, it will looks great on the
Yeah,
rack and all ubiquity, but they should have I mean, at this price point, $249, they should have make this switch. I mean, the deep of the switch should be much, so the both PSU should be on the back, so they get more spaces on that, so they can utilize all the ports also, like the
yeah.
dual ports. As you said, they have given twice this port, like
Yeah, I agree. And especially for $249, which seems a little pricey for what it's doing, which is basically just a dumb switch. Um,
yep.
I mean, there is the management port that it has on the back, but outside of that, you're not going to get much. I would doubt you're going to get much information from it, anyways, just because it's just a basic internet switch that's just going to split your
Yes,
connection off,
basic
basically.
one. Yeah.
Um, what I've been using for the shadow mode setup I have is I just have a Flex Mini in the back of the rack that just has the input from the ISP and then two connections out to the UDMs. But it's also PoE powered and then it's powered through the USB-C, so it does switch over between them. So it does have redundant power, and it's only
Yeah.
$30. Obviously, it's not rack mounted; it doesn't look as nice as this, but it gets the job done for just $30.
Yes, you don't need to spend extra $249 for this WAN switch.
Yeah. Now the WAN switch does have 10 gig ports on it, which the Flex Mini obviously does
I
not have
mean,
10 gig,
they have
but
two model. One it is 10 gig RJ45, and then one is 10 gig SFP plus, I think.
that is true. They do have a SFP Plus model as well, which is surprising that it's the same price. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense, but I don't know. I would have thought they would have charged more for the SFP model. So for those of you who don't know, these switches, these WAN switches just came out this week. These are for if you have a shadow mode set up with your UDM Pro or UDM Pro Max or whatever. Basically, you get one connection from your ISP, and then you split it off into a connection for each of your UDMs for shadow mode. So that way, if any UDM goes down, then the internet connection still works basically. But you also get the redundant power. So if for some reason your power goes out on one of your power legs, you can switch over automatically to the other one.
Yeah. That's the only good thing you will see in this switch, the power redundancy.
Yeah, yeah. I do like how they're integrated power supplies. And I do like how it has redundancy. I feel like it would have been a really hard sell if it doesn't have power redundancy because most of their switches don't have power redundancy, and you could use pretty much any Ubiquiti switch for this if you just
Yes,
drop it on a
correct.
different VLAN or something. But
That will be the selling point. I think they will
yeah,
sell with this uh tag, like it has a redundant power system. So other than Ubiquiti, you won't get on the like non-unified third-party switches. Even the same, if you want to go with the Flex Mini, it does not have a redundant power system, but that
yeah,
does the job. Like,
it does.
yeah.
Yeah. So that is all of the hardware releases this week. Recently, though, they did come out with the 10 gig Ethernet adapter, um, which is a $200 Ethernet adapter. It basically does USB-C to 10 gig Ethernet, which is kind
Mm.
of cool. I have not purchased one yet, but the price seems pretty good for what it does. If you look on Amazon, a lot of the 10 gig Ethernet adapters are pretty expensive as well. So this looks right in line with what I would expect. Kind of a cool product.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's already sold out. You will see it.
Yeah. So is there any other hardware releases that you can think of?
I don't think so. I think we have already covered that last week video, but
Yeah.
this was the only thing they have came up last week, and they have. I mean, they have announced more, also more thing like as you know, the organization thing, like how to
Yeah.
set up your with the unified identity thing.
Yeah, we should talk about that. Let me
Yep.
pull up this link. So for those of you who don't have X or Twitter, you wouldn't have seen this tweet, but Safwan tweeted this to me this week. This is the new Ubiquiti organization feature. So basically on Site Manager on the like unified.ui.com, you can now set up a organization, which essentially is a way to kind of combine multiple sites together, multiple consoles together,
Yes.
for kind of larger scale installations or even smaller scale installations if you have multiple consoles. And this does seem to take the place of UniFi Identity and UniFi Identity Enterprise. That was something we talked about last week. It's very confusing on Identity versus Identity Enterprise, but this solution does seem to just kind of merge it all together nicely in the sense that it supports kind of like identity provider stuff. So you can connect Google Workspace, you can connect Microsoft
Yeah.
authentication, that kind of stuff. But it also has support for a lot of different features like door access, one-click VPN, one-click Wi-Fi, and they have a whole list of features they're going to add soon.
So this will be for you, like if you are an owner of an organization, you can sync up to the identity endpoint.
Yeah. So I think this is a positive step. I still think at this point it is pretty confusing on identity versus identity enterprise. But I think this
Yeah.
is a good step on the Ubiquiti's side of things to kind of consolidate and merge it all together. Once they get everything figured out, I think it'll be a really nice product. And this is really nice too for, like you said, like organizations. If you're the owner of multiple sites, it's a
Yes.
great way to have ownership on one account of everything. I think though I did see a tweet from somebody on X that said, or maybe it wasn't on, it was on the Ubiquiti forum actually. They were asking
Yeah.
about for an MSP, like a managed support provider for companies, how an MSP is supposed to do this. And I think for them, they just need to have an account per company they work for, because I don't
Yeah.
think all the consoles should be owned by one MSP. But I think that kind of stuff, once Ubiquiti gets that figured out, it'll be a really cool product.
Yes, exactly. They are also saying recommended. I mean, if you see the first point, they say recommended use or create a dedicated company-owned email for that. So in-house IT team can use the same, and the MSP also use the same client name. So you don't need to transfer ownership of sites. You don't want included that. I
Yeah.
mean, you can check that.
I'm trying to find, they had a list somewhere of all of the features they're planning on adding. I don't know where it was though. Maybe it was here. Yeah, so they said um, so far they have centralized identity and access management. You can have a
Yes.
unified list of users and admins, real time syncing, SAML based single sign on, role based access control. They have one click Wi Fi VPN. They have split tunnel VPN, synchronized door access credentials. And it says they have more coming soon. So you can pre provision new sites hardware for faster deployment. You can streamline installs and configurations with consistent, repeatable processes. And you can have
Mhm.
centralized permission management for UniFi Talk users and soft phones, which is big. UniFi Protect camera sharing, UniFi Drive file access, and UniFi Connect EV charging. So
Yeah.
I think the soft phone functionality right there is really big. I think that's
Mhm.
great because the soft phones are really confusing on UniFi Talk, um, and how all that works with UniFi Identity versus Identity Enterprise. I
I
think,
think it will give centralized permission management
yeah,
for that soft phones also, unified talk user phone.
yeah, which you don't have now with UniFi Identity free version because
Yeah.
the free version doesn't have that centralized control. So I think you'll gain that. That feature is really big once they release that to UniFi organizations.
Let's see how they come up with all those support.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, like, I don't know if this is something they're going to charge for. They charge for UniFi Identity Enterprise if you have over 50 users. So I'm not sure if this is a feature they're planning on charging people for. It doesn't seem like it, but I'm not sure.
I don't think so because they did not announce anything. It's just, I mean, I don't think that so they will charge for it. Let's see, but they will come up different plan on that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what they do. Looks like we have some comments in the chat. I wish there was more YouTube info about there on the UISP stuff. I agree. There was, I feel like at one point there was a YouTuber I was watching that did UISP stuff, but I don't remember who it was. But I do agree there isn't, they don't talk about the UISP stuff as much as the Unified Network products at this point.
Yeah, I agree that because
And now it's like buried on their story. You have to like click on the drop down to even find the UISP page. I think those products are really good. Like I've used a couple of their UISP products. They work really well. I like UISP, the like management software. Um, but it doesn't seem like Ubiquiti is putting as much effort into that as they are with the Unified platform right now.
exactly. I mean, the USP product just work. They don't need to, I mean, tweak anything on that. You just deploy for the very first time, and you don't have to touch that thing because it's very robust in that. Depending to the UniFi thing, I mean, it gets break easily UniFi if you don't config properly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
honestly
I
though, like kind of like you said, you can once you set it, you can almost forget it with UISP. Like I have the point-to-point links here at this property. Like I have them set up. I haven't changed anything in probably 2 years, and they pretty much just work.
yeah, unless you have any physical, I mean, issues like the
Yeah.
cable broke down or where you have mounted and I mean external calamities like there is a wind or something
Mm-hmm.
if that device is on the pole or something, yeah, that depends the external factors, but apart from that I don't think so we have to do more on that UISP, but the products are quite good. I think I also use on my network like I have a light beam 5 Gen 2 and
Yep.
it create a link between like 1,000 meter, not just like more, and it works quite well.
Yeah, I mean they are really reliable. I've really never had any issues with my UISP things. The firmware updates work really well too. On UISP, you can do a firmware update across multiple devices at the same time, and I've never
Yes.
had any outages from that. So it's really cool how they have how stable that platform is.
Exactly. I mean, if you see the UISP firmware, I mean, the firmware version of the UISP is also like quite good when you try to see. They brought a lot of changes on that. I mean, right now, the last time I updated to 2.4.15, I think, if I remember,
Hmm.
they brought a lot of new things like the dashboard and the devices. And yeah, basically, it is mostly used for the ISP side where they can manage the CRM also, the Ubiquiti CRM for the payment and all those stuff. So they works well, I think.
Yeah.
No complaint on that side.
Tim says, "I wish Ubiquity had more swag. The shirts, hats, etc. selection is limited."
I mean, yeah, it's very
It
limited. You
is.
have to attend the Ubiquiti conference. You will get one of those much free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got the T-shirt, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
And this one is I'm wearing is a Hostify T-shirt. You can check out.
So I think
You
that's
can check.
about. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying that you can check on the Hostify store, store.hostify.com.
There we go. Now we have some better merch. I like that one actually on the back. That looks cool.
Yeah. And the one I'm wearing this one.
Yep. Nice. Okay, so do you want to talk about software releases?
Yeah, sure. We should go with the latest one, 9.1.120, which was released, I mean, last week. And everyone has put a video. Even I was thinking of to put a video on that, like a long video on that, but I didn't get any time to put that. But
Mm.
yeah, we can cover here.
Yeah, so 9.1.120 is kind of a big update for Unified Network. It added a lot of features and improved a lot of things as well. They also added support for up to 8 WANs on the UDM Pro, which is kind of crazy. Um, but we
Yeah.
got a lot of improvements, a lot of new things. So the first one is traffic flows. It's basically just a better way to see what's happening on your network. Um,
Mhm.
I there's a router I use. OpenSense actually has a similar feature where it shows kind of live activity of what's going on. So this is really cool
Yeah.
to see inside of UniFi. We also have better traffic overflow, which shows insights into top destinations, active clients, and block traffic.
I mean, this added traffic overview is not for the gateways like the UXG Pro. I don't see that yet, but I think it's for the higher end gateways like the UXG Enterprise and the EFG. There you will see those flows, the count of the flows. The geo map shows correct here, but I don't see those things like the cyber secure enterprise section.
That is true. Yeah, I have not seen the feature yet on my UDM Pro at least.
And even the enhanced QoS is also quite good, I think.
Yeah, the
The
enhanced QoS is really cool. Essentially, QoS just prioritizes traffic. So,
yeah.
what they did is they made it really easy for people to do that on the routers now. So, essentially,
Hmm.
you can prioritize or limit certain types of internet traffic. So, you could prioritize Teams, you could prioritize Zoom, etc. Or you could limit certain things. So, you could limit online gaming, limit Snapchat. I don't know. That way, people don't have as much bandwidth on those platforms.
Yeah.
Um, just to if you have lower bandwidth, it really just conserves bandwidth for you.
I think right now they are using these QoS within the WAN internet side also. I think you can enable those things, the
Hmm.
QoS. I've seen that. Like I can check on my network and see.
Okay. Tim says they need to allow more than 150 country blocking limit. Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, what I've done on my network though for the country blocking is I actually have a whitelist or whatever the opposite of the blocking is, where essentially I just tell certain countries I have a list of certain countries I actually want. And that seems to work better because there's a lot of countries I've never even heard of that I don't care enough to block. So if I can just whitelist ones that I know that I want, that seems to work pretty well for me.
Yeah, the known countries, you can just whitelist that known countries. Other than that, everything will be blocked.
Yeah. How they show the switches connected in the deployment image. They have one of those switches for each controller. Rob, which deployment image are you talking about?
Which one?
In the chat, Rob said, look how they showed the switches connected in the deployment image. They have one of those switches for each controller. I'm not sure where that is. Anyways, though, we also, like I mentioned, we have the expanded multi-WAN support for up to 8 WANs, which is a
Yeah.
lot of WANs. It is really nice, though. I will say I actually did use it this week. One of the sites I work for just got fiber internet, so we kept the cable connection, but I moved the priority down, and then I added a WAN, and then I moved the priority up for the fiber connection. So it's really easy to manually fail over if you want to, because you can literally, on this list, you can actually click and drag the priorities of these.
Yeah. First failover, second failover, you
Yep.
can do that.
Yeah.
You have multiple redundant paths, I think.
Yeah. And that's really cool. I know they can get around it anyway, but I think it helps to block as much as we can. Yeah, I agree. Like a VPN would totally bypass the country blocking, um, pretty easily. But I do think for peace of mind, though, at least the country blocking is kind of a nice thing to have.
Yeah. I kind of like the one more thing, like under the insights, if you, I mean, under the ports, you will see the SFP analyzer, the list of all the SFP analyzer.
Add an
They have,
option in the device selection menu
yeah.
within the ports page for an in-depth view of SFP modules.
I mean, you can see all the details and the depth of the SFP.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me check. I have not looked at that yet.
Even you can easily power cycle from the table itself. I mean, I've used that power cycle. Like you don't need to go into the port manager. You can just click quick actions, I think. You can easily locate a power cycle port directly.
Where do you see that?
If you want, I can share my
Yeah, why
screen.
don't you share your screen?
Yeah, sure. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so here you have to go to the ports, and here they have all the ports. So they have section called SFP analyzer. So you can see all the SFP
Oh,
thing, like
interesting.
yeah, you can see the ubiquity vendor and the other vendor, like I'm using FiberSol and the local vendor. You can see the compliance and the temperature also for the module.
That's
You
really
can see,
cool.
and the DAC cable also. This is the part number. If you're, this is a ubiquity DAC cable,
Okay.
HFP plus, you can see all those things. Even this is a SFP 10 to 0.5 meter. This is a different compliance. I mean, this came with the box. I think if you purchase the UXG Pro, the UDM
Yeah.
Pro, this came inside the box. And this one is I have purchased directly from the website. So this is
Hmm.
a different compliance. I think the part number you can see the serial number is different on that.
That's cool that you can
So
see all that at a glance.
yeah, also I was saying about this thing, like this is your switch, and even you can click to power cycle from here only. You can just
Oh,
click to power cycle from here.
that's
And there
cool.
is also bulk edit also. Like if you go to the port manager, you can select any port, like lots of port you can select and change the name or anything like
Hmm.
bulk edit, displaying the configuration port which will be applied. So you can just give the port name. Like for example, these are all VoIP phone and connected on all these listed ports selected. You can just give the name VoIP and apply the changes.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And the one I was talking about, this insight, like for example, if you go on the geo, it doesn't show up anything.
Mm,
Like the one I have blocked, it shows as a red mark, like the Russia, and this is I think, yeah, this is also Russia, and this is a New York, I think. Oh, sorry,
hmm.
North Korea. Yeah.
Oh,
This
okay.
is an yeah. So these two countries are blocked, as you can see under the map, the geo map.
Yeah.
It shows up there, not with the one they have shown under the release note. I think this is that's a cyber secure enterprise thing. Like, and this is a pretty good thing. Like you can see the flows, and this is the block thing, and this is a thread.
Interesting. That's a really
Yeah,
cool view. I
everything.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. This everything is listed from here. The cyber secure. You can directly click from here the dashboard. It will goes up here, and you will see
Hmm.
all everything. Like this is like I think my firewall rules I've created and the region blocking. As you can see, this is a region blocking. So
Yeah.
it blocks the traffic from there. And this is the thread, I think. So
Interesting.
it's nice, I think. I mean, so this is the switch I was talking about. So you see it's getting super hot. Like you can see the
Oh, yeah.
75. Yeah.
That is getting
And
hot.
all ports are utilized on that. So I mean, there is no point to keep this switch.
Yeah.
Apart from that, you can see here this one, like as I was saying, that under the internet, you can check here the ISP 2, I think. With the UXG Pro, you get only 3 WAN.
Oh, right. Because of the ports on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As compared to the Dream Machine, I think it does not have that much port, but the Dream Machine, you will get lots of port here. You can change, I mean, you can add a WAN like up
Yeah.
to, I mean, this much port.
A lot of them.
Yep.
One feature that would be interesting on the UXG Pro is if they could have a VLAN that basically that you can add to one of the internet ports. So like for the UXG Pro, if you had it coming in on VLAN 10 and
Hmm.
another internet connection coming on VLAN 15, if you could do it on the same port, that way you can get more WANs out of the same connection.
Yeah, that's true. I think they have not added yet those features, I think. Apart from that, like, everything is good, I think. Only the thing is these switches are getting quite hot because the temperature here is very humid, I think.
Oh,
Okay, so we can also check for the unified drive application also. They have released a new version on that, 2.0.1, I think. The last week, we have talked about this last week, correct?
yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when you go with the organization thing, like if you create from here and like I think manage your UniFi organization. Okay, I think I have to go to the unify.ui.com.
Yeah. Tim says, anyone here running Pi-hole for DNS? I am.
Yeah, I am also.
Yeah. I have like probably 7 Pi-hole servers running like between my house and the data center. It's kind of a mess, but I don't use Pi-hole for blocking ads necessarily. I mostly use it for custom DNS. Um,
Y-
it just makes it easier for me to have across multiple sites.
So you can just go from unify.site manager. When you click on create organization, it goes up to the new website, new org.ui.com. And you can see 11 hosts will be owned by the organization. You can expand that.
I see. Yeah.
The same email address. So you can just set up that.
Oh, interesting. And it uses the identity endpoint app.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And right now it's in early access. So we could recommend using a new UI account for that to avoid impacting production environments. The Pi hole is great. I think I have in my network. Let me show. Oh, 0.213. I think did you mean to go to it? You can see this much. This is for the total queries. It's
Yeah,
good, I
Pi-hole has
think.
a lot of nice insights. Pi-hole really shows a lot of detail on the logs.
Yeah, even you can check this log. I mean, this all their ads, I think, the domain DNS.
Yeah.
These all are the clients, I think. Okay, I think that. Anything we left?
I don't know. I can't think of anything. If anyone in the chat has any questions or whatever, we can answer them now.
Yeah.
But that's all I had. There wasn't really any other firmware releases this week that were super noticeable.
I don't think so. Not on the product side, not even on the access
Yeah.
side, I think.
Tim says he runs Pi-hole, Free PBX, Uptime Kuma, all Grandstream 2170 phones.
Okay,
Yeah, I've
let's.
heard good things about Free PBX, and we were actually going to use Free PBX at the site that I just installed the UniFi Talk on. The problem though is free PBX is free unless you want certain plugins, and I believe that there's certain plugins that we actually wanted for this project, um, just for voicemail. I don't remember what it was, but we looked into it. But ultimately, we decided to go with UniFi Talk just because the integration with UniFi Access is really nice. I'm gonna make a video about it soon, but that integration has been really cool, actually, really easy to set up, and so yeah, we're happy with the UniFi Talk phones. We're about to port our number over. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much why we didn't go with the free PBX system.
Yeah, I mean, any update on the Unified Talk one? The one which you did on the site for the client?
Yeah, it's working well. We're about to port the number over. The access integration is really cool. So if somebody with the intercom, so if somebody kind of pushes the button on the intercom, if you have the access app set up on the phone, it pops up like a notification on the phone, like full screen. You can see the camera view, and then you can push unlock
Mm.
to let the person in. You could answer it as like a phone call and talk to
Mm.
them. So really, really, really cool. I'm gonna make a
I
video about
mean,
it soon, but that integration is actually a lot better than I thought it would be, and we don't need identity or identity enterprise. As long as that user has a Ubiquiti account, you can log into it on the phone, and then it pretty much just works.
I mean, the only thing you need a Unified Access app on the phone, and that integration will work, correct?
Yep. There's no
Okay.
setup for notifications or anything like that. Like it literally just works, which is really odd, but it works. So that's great.
Yeah, you have to deep into it, exactly why it works. You need to find out.
Yeah. What happened with your shadow gateways that kept crashing? Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I posted a few videos about it. We have Shadow UDM Pros, and at the site that I just did UniFi Talk at, actually, we're still having the same crashing problem occasionally. I don't know why. It does not seem to be related to power or anything, like they're on UPSs and stuff. But the Shadow gateways randomly crash. We also do have a pretty large Pro AV environment, so the Ubiquiti guys are thinking that it's possible that Pro AV is kind of overloading the UDM Pros, causing them to crash. The UDMs are sitting at like 80% memory usage, and they like keep jumping up to 100% CPU occasionally. Um,
Okay. So
so it's possible
you
that's the cause, but they don't crash when they get to 100% CPU.
okay.
So I don't know.
I mean, is your shadow gateway crashing or your primary gateway?
Uh, Usually the primary gateway,
Uh,
but it never fails over to the shadow gateway. Is part of the issue as
oh,
well.
okay. I mean,
Um,
I think that's a memory issue on the
yeah,
UDM Pro. It's not handling that much client, I think.
yeah, we
Looks
have.
like.
There's probably 300 client devices on that network, so it's pretty large. But
Yeah, I think
at the
so.
same time, like I have 150 at my house, probably like across all the virtual machines and stuff I have, and I don't have any issues here. So I don't know. Like we decided to run UniFi Talk on the Cloud Key instead of the UDM Pro because of the crashing and stuff, but and just to
Okay.
conserve memory usage and stuff. We're only running UniFi Network on there. We have probably 50 UniFi devices, like 50 total UniFi access points and switches. So
The device count is, I think that is fine, but the clients
yeah,
count is increasing. I think that is taking a lot of memory in the CPU to do all. I mean,
yeah.
to get stable, I think you should upgrade to next console. I think either UDM-SC or the Pro Max.
Is the SU gonna have a lot of performance improvement though?
Looks like as compared to the Pro, I think it has improvement,
Okay.
but the specs is compared to the UXG Pro, I think. Similar to kind of the
Okay.
UXG Pro. But I have seen the clients, like the 1,000 clients, the UXG Pro can handle up to 1,000 clients.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the UXG Pro there, and it was working really well for a while. But we switched to the UDM Pros because I wanted chat mode. I wanted the failover.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's only thing they will, I mean, right now they have brought the shadow mode on the UXG Enterprise, but the firmware is not released for that yet. It
hmm,
requires the 4.2 firmware on the gateways, but that is not released. So unless they release on the UXG Pro, there is no point. Yeah, we can go for that UXG Pro for the shadow. I
yeah,
think they might bring it soon for the UXG Pro also, because still on the UXG Pro there are lots of existing issues. I think the
yeah,
setup issue. I mean, apart from the UDM Pro and the UDM machine console, the standalone gateway has a setup issues. I have seen most probably. Everyone gets confused when they want to upgrade from the existing
yep.
Ubiquiti gateways, like the USG Pro, the USG 3P to the new UXG Max. I think from this list, I think the UXG Max has a lot of issues in the setup, I think.
Yeah, I've heard of setup issues, and I've seen the setup issues myself too. Like, it was really even like going. We had a USG 3 or whatever, like when we first were getting started with UniFi, and then I went to the UX2 Pro, and even that setup was a little odd, like switching gateways and stuff. Like for some reason, that setup didn't work really well. Like I
I
had to
mean,
restart from
that
scratch.
setup you have to plan for it exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, as per the guide they mentioned, it's so easy, but if you follow the guide, you end up having the UXG Pro offline. Even everything you have followed all the steps. But what I have figured out, I have already what I do. I already pre-configured the UXG Pro on some other sites, and when I went to the original sites, I just move over the UXG Pro to the new sites,
interesting.
like the same setups. I pre-config the same WAN settings, like the static IP,
Gotcha.
everything. So
Yeah,
it take over
I
that.
didn't do a lot of pre-configuration, and I probably should have. Somebody in the chat said EFGs. Yeah, we could. They're just expensive,
Yeah, it's very expensive, I think.
but I mean that could be a better setup probably. Honestly though, even the Dream Machine Pro Max probably would be an upgrade. Because it says on the website you get 2,000 client support versus the 1,000 on the Dream Machine Pro. So that would probably have some noticeable performance improvements there, but I'm not sure. We're
Mm.
still working with UniFi support. They said they're waiting on their software developers or whatever to dig into the issue more. So until that's done, then I don't know.
Yeah, I think better is to go with the desktop fiber, like the UXG desktop mounted UCG fiber. I think they have a good throughput speed as compared to the
Really,
UDM. Yeah, I think it got 3.5 Gbps.
the Cloud Gateway
Like
Fiber
I
has 5 gigs
yeah,
actually.
5 gig.
Hmm.
Wow, with the IPS and IDS, correct?
I don't know. Well, the Dream Machine Pro says 3.5 gigs per second, so yeah, that's with IPS, IDS.
I
Uh,
think, but these does not support any shadow gateway.
no,
If we get these two.
interesting idea though. Although it only says it supports 500 clients on the Cloud Gateway Fiber versus the 1,000 on the Dream Machine Pro, so I'm not sure. Tim says he's ran UDM Pro for 3 years, very stable at home, running about 30 devices. Yeah, same here. Like I have a UDM Pro here. Like I said, I have 100 and something devices at home, and I've had zero issues for years. It's been working really well.
I mean, yeah, Dream Machine Pro works well. I mean, even on the enterprise network, I've seen that most of the guys use them.
Yeah.
But it there is a hard limit, I think, which Ubiquiti don't say on their website.
Of hard limit of clients, you're saying?
Yeah, hard limit
Yeah.
of the clients. If you go up to like more than 300 or 500 clients, it's starting getting any issues like booting issues and
Hmm.
everything.
Somebody in the chat asked if I'm doing IDS, IPS. I am not. Ubiquiti support told me to turn it off actually. And everything's been working, I guess, better since then. But also since then, I also turned off the shadow gateway because of the crashing and stuff, and that's also been better. So I don't. It's really really odd, but everything's working better now without the shadow gateway, without IDS and IPS. A little more reliable at least.
I mean, the IPS and IDS take more CPU
Mm,
and your throughput also. That's why. That's the only first step they will recommend to turn off IPS and IDS.
yeah, yeah. Rob said he's had his UDM SE for 2 years, currently 38 devices, running full IDS and IPS. Yep.
Even on my UXD Pro side, I have around like 45 clients and I'm running full IPS and IDS, even the region blocking and everything.
Hmm.
I didn't get any issues. Like it is from like 3 years I'm using.
Yeah.
I'm
Interesting.
just waiting for the shadow gateway on that UXG Pro.
I know. That'd be so nice. I'd probably switch back to the UXG Pro if they had the shadow gateway.
Looks like it is designed for the gateway because due to the minimum ports on that.
Yeah,
And when you see on the UDM Pro, it looks like all-in-one devices.
it does. Yeah.
Only they have missed the Wi-Fi on that.
Right. Did you see Chris from Crosstalk Solutions? I think it was an April Fool's video he made a couple years back.
Yeah,
He added Wi-Fi to it. It's kind of
I
funny.
mean he added the second part of the video also, where improvise on that
Yeah.
10 gig. Even he added a 10 gig. I mean he added the mobility also, like UniFi Mobile Ultra
Yeah.
on that. I think if I remember.
Yep. Well, I think that's all I had for the
Yeah.
stream today. Unless you have anything else to add.
I don't think so. I think we have had pretty much everything. Like we have
Yeah.
covered all those things. I've also, yeah, I'm also looking to clean my rack. I think I have messed up all those things, like the order of the devices. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to remove all those two switches, which is taking too much spaces, like the Enterprise 8 PoE. It is not rack mounted and I've placed on
Yep.
the rack shelf and it is taking lots of spaces on that rack. So I'm kind of thinking, how should I go and start with the planning? I mean, uh, how do you plan the rack? I mean, when you get the lots of
Normally,
devices.
normally I'll do like I have like power conditioners that I'll put like at the very top of the rack. And then
Okay,
from there I'll do like the gateways, and
okay,
then I have like the aggregation switch, and then I do
okay,
switches and that kind of stuff at the bottom because those usually have patch panels too. So then I can just kind of do all that at the bottom of the rack and not have to have cables go all the way up. Um, and then also that way the aggregation switch is below the gateways. That way they can all connect and stuff there with shorter DAC cables than having like to go all the way down the rack. But
okay.
that's just how I do it.
Okay, what about the patch panel? I mean,
The patch panels go down with the switches because most of the
okay,
patch panel devices won't have to connect up to anything like the routers or anything. So those all kind of just live closer to the bottom of the rack in most of the ones that I
okay.
built.
I think this is pretty good for, I mean, the switches like the recent switch, the Pro Max, and that they have all the ports on one line, not in
Yeah.
up and down. So that is pretty good. You just need only one patch panel for that.
Yep. Yeah, because you can spread it out, which is
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
I think that's it. Pretty
I
much we have
think so
covered
too.
all the
Yeah.
things. Do you got any questions on the chat?
Nope. I don't see any.
Okay. So what about the next week topic? Have you thought of anything?
Oh, I don't know. can't think of anything. Maybe we'll get some new hardware this week. We can talk about that next week too.
Yeah, I think next week we should talk about our I have an idea. Like we can talk about our Ubiquiti equipments. What devices do we have,
Oh yeah,
and what is the use case? Why we are using those things? Like it may be your server also. Even if you are using the server and everything on the rack, everything
yeah,
that will be pretty good to showcase our labs. My lab is very messy. I mean, the cable management is very poor on that side.
yeah. Well, if you clean it up this week, we can talk about it next week.
But I'm fine to show up that mess part also. There's no.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that next week.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Okay. Hopefully, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well,
All
it
right.
was nice to talk to you again. I'll see you next week.
Nice talk to you, Cole. See you, everyone. See you, Cole. Bye.
Yep. See ya. And thank you guys again for watching the stream. Hope you enjoyed. We will see you guys all in next week's stream. This was a fun one today, and it should be pretty fun next week. Thank you for watching.